wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic podcast, where we discuss the ancient philosophy of Stoicism and how it applies to modern life. I am Dan Monks of Queens, New York City, and today I'm with my co-host,
Steve in Ohio. Hi, everybody.
Today, Steve and I will begin a journey through the Stoic paradoxes. In modern English, a paradox is most commonly understood to be something that contradicts itself. The modern definition is not what we are discussing today. In Greco-Roman times, a paradox was something that was surprising and contrary to popular opinion, but upon further explanation and justification, it could become intelligible and coherent. Cicero was not himself a Stoic, but he held the school in high regard, and he wrote summaries of Stoic philosophy that are important to our understanding of Stoic system today. One of his summaries was the Paradoxa Stoicorum, wherein Cicero illustrated the 6 Stoic paradoxes. Today's episode will center on the first of the Stoic paradoxes: virtue is the only good.
So, Dan, what do you think we mean by good?
The way that the good was defined by the ancient Stoics was that only virtue was good and that which participates in virtue. And the only thing that was bad was vice and what participates in vice, and everything else in the universe was an indifferent.
And virtue being excellence of character, excellence in being. I like to think of I am not trained enough in Buddhism to like say it's exactly like this, because that's not at all in my wheelhouse. But they talk of being skilled, living skillfully, and I kind of think of virtue as a similar thing, of just doing things exceedingly well is one way of looking at virtue.
The Stoics also viewed it in a similar way anyway, because they viewed it as an art of living. And as they said, it's not just theoretical things you read in a book. You actually have to practice it, kind of like a musician or an actor or a doctor. Like, you wouldn't trust a doctor to treat you if all they'd done is read books on the subject. You'd want a doctor who actually put their hands on people and worked their magic that way.
Right, sort of like the Epictetus thing we read episode or two back. Like, I have conversed with many wise men. Or
But does that make me wise?
Or as he said, I've conversed with many rich men. Does that make me rich? You know?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So virtue is the only good, and it almost seems harsh to say, but like your child or your home or whatever we would put those in the category of indifference, but we would add in preferred preferred indifference. But of course, your relationship with these individuals, with like your child, what you can do to help them, that's where virtue lies. It's like the skills you use, the actions you decide to take or not take to help them, to be with them, to keep them safe, etc. Virtue lies. That, what did you say? Virtue in that which partakes in virtue. I can't, the exact wording.
Participates in
virtue. There you go. So it's not like you throw a cold shoulder to the people you love. It's just a little different way of approaching it.
Right. Your spouse is not a good because they do not reflect directly on your moral character. But what does reflect on your moral character is how you treat your spouse, how you interact with your spouse. Do you treat them with dignity and respect and kindness? Do you support them?
Yeah, it's up. Virtue is up to you. And so if it's someone else's mind, someone else's body that, or a house or something that is not you, how you relate to it might relate to virtue, but the thing itself is not you, so it's not in your power. So what's the popular thought here of what is good? How does that relate, Dan, to what Cicero is saying and what the Stoics said?
I think it's important to mention that just how contrary to popular opinion this view was and is, and how provocative, because then, as now, most people view a wide variety of things to be good. And the masses think that wealth is good, along with health, power, fame, prestige, owning nice clothes and real estate. And, the list is endless.
Watch a commercial, right?
Yeah, they'll tell you all sorts of things that they want you to believe are good.
Exactly. So, oh, this is good. Being famous is good. Being an influencer is good. Drinking this particular beverage is good. It never stops. One thing I think I've mentioned before in the podcast, at least a while ago, is sometimes when I'm walking into a store, I live in the Midwest, so that usually means something like a Walmart. And I just tell myself, uh, happiness does not lie in here, or there is nothing good in here. Meaning you're here for things you need. Don't get tripped up in thinking you're going to buy happiness by what is something that's going to make you a better person in these doors. But that's not how commercials sell things.
What, then, is a real good? Whatever is done uprightly, honestly, and virtuously is truly said to be done well. And whatever is upright, honest, and agreeable to virtue, that alone, as I think, is a good thing. Cicero's Paradoxa Stoicorum, number 1.
So whatever is done uprightly, honestly, so we're not hiding, we're not lying, we're doing things well as we can understand them to be, and to pursue them in as well of a fashion as we can, and
And agreeable to virtue.
and
So
agreeable to virtue.
fulfilling your social roles and behaving rationally.
Something that, if you're pursuing this philosophy as a way of life, these are the kinds of thoughts you want to keep at the forefront as you're interacting with people, because sometimes you won't feel like it, but it's not, but you're trying to build this habit in of thinking about things in this way, so that it becomes a habit, so that eventually it is the way of being and the way of thinking about things. And at first it might take a few maxims like this to keep in your mind, or to journal about, to write about, to meditate on, so that it starts to become a habit. um, what is good? Is this good or is that good? And reflecting on that.
And Cicero pointed out that in order for something to be good, it has to make you a better person. And if you had it, it would make you a better person. And wealth does not fall into that category, because we can think of many examples. Cicero was pulling from his own experience, but I think that we can agree with him when we look around our world today that many people that are wealthy and powerful, it did not make them a better person.
Right. Think of the people that people see as role models. And sadly, a lot of times people see them that way, not because of their character and the good things, as it were, that they do in the world, but they see it based on their influence or what they have. And then they want those things rather than following a role model that sets a great example. It's too bad, but we can see examples all the time about people who had what we might think of off the cuff as good. Someone with mansions and fancy cars and lots of people interested in them, and etc. But they are miserable.
They don't treat people well.
They don't treat people well.
We see all those things held as precious by the masses, so distributed that wicked men possess them, and that they are inauspicious to the good. Cicero, Paradoxa Stoicorum, number 1. And that goes back to the idea that if wealth were a good, it would make people a better person, and it just is not the case.
Yeah, and when you really boil it down, you can play a mental exercise. What makes you a better person? You could argue that having wealth gives you the ability to do more things for more people, but once again, it comes down to your character that's putting that wealth into action.
Right, because having more wealth also gives you more opportunity to do harmful things to people.
Exactly. So it's not the wealth where the good lies. It's something else, and it seems to point, the compass seems to point inward when it comes to that. It's your character, your virtue, and then once, if you have virtue, you can put these things into good use. But someone else could have them. Someone else could take wealth or a long life or nice things and use them horribly and hurt a lot of people and damage the environment and make humanity worse off. Therefore, those things in themselves are not good.
Is there any real good that does not make him who possesses it a better man? For in proportion as every man has the greatest amount of moral excellence, he is also in that proportion most praiseworthy. To live well and happily is nothing else than to live virtuously and rightly. Cicero, Paradoxa Stoicorum, number 1.
And I believe an upcoming paradoxes has to do with a happy life as well. But
I think number 2.
yeah, to live well and happily is nothing else than to live virtuously and rightly. So the argument here is that, once again, this idea that anyone can live well regardless of your position or your possessions. If you live virtuously, you have to figure out your role, what is within your power, what are your capabilities, and then live as skillfully, as virtuously as you can. Remember that you're part of a society and live accordingly.
In addition to pointing out that wealth does not make us better and is therefore not good, Cicero also pointed out that if something is good, it should make us happy. And Cicero presented one Stoic argument for the idea that things like wealth, power, and fame do not make people happy and thus are not good. Those pleasures to which mankind are most chiefly addicted, I have observed that those to whom these things abounded still desired them most. For the thirst of greed is never filled or satiated. They are tormented not only with the lust of increasing, but with the fear of losing what they have. Cicero, Paradoxa Stoicorum, number 1.
It's a good thing people don't act that way anymore, right, Dan?
I was just about to say the opposite, that you can see that there is never enough for the people that value wealth above all else. They will do anything and everything to exploit people and collect as much Smaug money together as they can get.
This is mine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite striking when you see that the fear of losing what they have is immense. And then once again, as he says there, it's I gotta have more, and I can't lose what I have.
Right. So it's a state of perpetual agitation. There's never contentment involved. And how can you say that something is good if it's a source of never-ending stress and anxiety?
Exactly. And I cannot remember which person said this, but some dinner party with someone who was uber rich and someone who was pretty wealthy, and the uber rich guy was, ha, you'll never have what I have, ha ha ha, and the less wealthy individual says, yes, but I have something you will never have, enough. And
That's a quote from Seneca, I believe.
well,
Who is
it
a wealthy
is
man?
there, and I've also
The man
heard
who
it
has
in
enough.
yeah, exactly. There's also I heard something in a modern context with some like tech CEOs, but my guess is they read Seneca.
They probably stole it.
They probably did, but like there's this ladder that never.
But that's perfectly fine. I mean, like that's good if they actually absorb some of
They
those.
they absorbed
lessons.
it and put it to heart. Took it to heart. That's great. But yeah, like the ladder never quits going up if you are never happy. I got to keep climbing and I got to protect what I have, and you become, as you said, agitated rather than happy and content
and anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I had enough money to be pretty much retired, the last thing on my mind would be how to gain more power and influence over, all these individuals always vying for power, vying for influence, and it's like go hang out and enjoy what you got and be happy.
For my fellow Americans out there, I think we have some legislators that you can observe that clearly have enough wealth that they could go enjoy a porch in their grandchildren somewhere, and yet they cling onto that power and they just have to get more and more.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been that way forever.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the Romans. Actually, I know the Romans had a lot of people that were like that. So
like, why doesn't he go sit in his villa and eat grapes and drink his wine and shut up? But
And
yeah,
if he's a wise man, perhaps write some books that will benefit the rest of us
yeah, exactly.
and take care of his family.
You can still have influence if you have some virtue in there, but it's just the exploitation of others is
Right.
not virtue. So, but yeah, I mean, there are some elderly states. I was going to say statesmen. Do we have a gender neutral word for statesmen? Gender statespeople? I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah,
people.
our language has to catch up on that one.
Yeah, but we.
They do say congressperson. I know
Yeah,
that.
I guess they do. Yeah. So
But statesperson doesn't sound
it
right.
sounds really
Maybe we just haven't used it long enough.
right.
Eventually it'll sound normal.
Right. But we do have people who have been at it for a long time that at least appear to be at it for at least mostly the right reasons. And so I don't want to appear overly cynical there, but I've
Well, there are exceptions to every generality.
exactly.
But how many Ruth Bader Ginsburgs are there?
None, no.
No, yeah, that's true. Good point.
But the paradox is that all these things that seem to be good to the masses are not good at all. They can be misused, they can be abused, they can be lost and stolen, they can make you anxious if you possess them. But what about virtue? Does virtue make you anxious to possess? Does it make you worse off? Does it make you a worse person for being temperate, for being just, for being courageous and wise?
Virtue is the only thing that's useful in every situation.
Right?
The only thing that's beneficial at all times.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Dan, did you have a quote from Seneca you wanted to read?
I do. I thought it might be nice. We've been talking about Cicero mostly today, but I thought it might be nice to have a quote from somebody else about virtue being good. That attribute of man, whereby he is approved or disapproved, is his chief and only good. You do not doubt whether virtue is a good, you merely doubt whether it is the sole good. If a man possesses all other things, such as health, riches, pedigree, a crowded reception hall, but is confessedly bad, you will disapprove of him. Likewise, if a man possesses none of the things which I have mentioned, and lacks money or an escort of clients, or rank and a renowned heritage, but is confessedly good, you will approve of him. Hence, virtue is man's one peculiar good, and the possessor of it is to be praised even if he lacks other things. But he who does not possess virtue, though he possess everything else in abundance, is condemned and rejected. Seneca, Letter 76.
Thanks for joining Dan and I today as we discuss the first of the Stoic paradoxes. Be sure to email us with any questions or comments, sundaystoic@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook. Please rank and review the podcast on any platform that you happen to be listening to us on. And until we meet again,
Carpe diem!
bum, bum, ba, dum, bum, bum, bum.